So the samsara tree, which is described here, it is nothing but each and every one of us. What is our condition in this world? We are experiencing constant change. We are in this world of change. The world which is full of insecurities, anxieties, worries, fears, unpredictabilities. This constant experience is what is compared with this tree of transmigration. So how did we land up in this world? So Bhagavan says, it is your own making. It came because of your own choice. How did we make the choice? So we have been seeing this. The first comes interaction with the sense objects. With this interaction comes the experience of Sukha Dukkha. From Sukha Dukkha comes an impression in the mind, which is Raga Dvesha. With this Raga Dvesha likes and dislikes, I start bifurcating on the sense objects. These are the things which I want, these are the things which I have to keep away. This way, with this desire, I start working in the world. Karma, Karma Phala, Sukha Dukkha, Raga Dvesha, based on Raga Dvesha, again karma. The cycle is vicious, the cycle is infinite. And we go on desiring things, and because of these desires, what happened? We go on experiencing the world of this change. After the death of the body, also we are gone. For what? To fulfill the desires, because at the time of death, we died with the desires. So those desires, in order to fulfill those desires, again we landed in this world, amidst the world of sense objects. And as we interact again, varieties of Raga Dveshas. So this is an outweigh, imperishable, unending journey. That is what is being said here. The desires change, so the world around us also change. So this is called a samsara. So yesterday we were seeing that since this world is our choice, so what kind of world do we desire? We all desire a world full of happiness, full of peace, full of auspiciousness. So what is the relationship between the world and the thoughts? Whatever kind of thoughts I entertain, a similar world starts appearing around me. So what is the comparison given as far as this tree is concerned? So there are branches above and below. What are these branches? The world that is formed around us. So Sattvic world, they are the branches going upwards. Rajasic, they are the branches going parallel to the ground. And the Tamasic world, they are the what you call branches going below. Adha, Urdhva. So yesterday we had seen in the same way the roots, the secondary roots also, they also go above and below. Now these secondary roots, what do they represent? They represent the vasanas in us, the thoughts in us. And what do these branches represent? The world that is formed around us. So the world that is formed around us has a direct link with the thoughts within us. As the thoughts within, so the world without. This is the law. So how can we make use of this law? This law can be made use of by creating beautiful thoughts within, entertaining beautiful thoughts within, because these thoughts are in my control, because thoughts are the product of my mind. So I can always think of good thoughts. So these good thoughts within will naturally express as a beautiful world outside. You don't have to change the world, you don't have to improve the world. What are we supposed to do? Improve our thoughts, make the thoughts good. Now, to have good thoughts, you must have knowledge about right living. This knowledge is what is present in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, in the Bhagavad Gita, in all scriptures. How to think right, how to have noble thoughts, because thoughts have direct connection with your understanding about the world, the understanding about yourself, the understanding about your relationship with others. So thoughts will not just emerge, it emerges from knowledge. So if you have the right knowledge, noble thoughts are spontaneous and effortless. Right? So what is the most important thing in life? Right knowledge. Because from right knowledge, noble thoughts become effortless and spontaneous. So the most important thing is spiritual knowledge. And what is the source of spiritual knowledge? The Vedas, the scriptures. And from where do we get this knowledge? We get it from Guru, from the teacher. That is the glory of Guru. Why Guru is glorious? Guru is not glorious because he is able to bless you with this and that. No. That may be a byproduct, an insignificant byproduct. The glory of Guru is he gives you the right knowledge. And what happens when you get the right knowledge? You entertain noble thoughts. Your words become divine, your thoughts become divine, and what is the end result? The world around you becomes divine. You create a beautiful world inside, you create a beautiful world outside. So when the world is beautiful inside and outside, what do you experience? You experience peace, you experience happiness, you experience fulfillment. So where did you get all this from? You got it from this knowledge. Where did you get this knowledge? You got it from Guru. Therefore, the glory of Guru. Therefore, we worship Guru. That is the importance of Guru Purnima. Our life is transformed when Guru enters into our life. It is not the physical entry of Guru, no. Try to understand what he is saying. Because whatever he says, he is saying based on the knowledge of the scriptures. And the scriptures have come from God. Right knowledge, that's why he said, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing, no greater purifier than knowledge. Because right understanding about life is the most important thing. If that is there, you are saved. If that is not there, you are doomed. You can look around. So many specimens are available. Those who have ignored the scriptures, those who disrespect the source of knowledge, the Guru Parampara, those who live a licentious life, just observe what is happening in their life and you will know everything. The amount of sufferings they have, that itself is a proof. It is like you are walking, but with closed eyes you are walking. What is the first thing you have to do before walking? Open your eyes. Gain the knowledge about the world around you. Yes or no? Walking is not the first step. Gaining the knowledge about the world around you is the first step. Where to walk, where not to walk, in which direction to walk, that is the first thing. Gain the knowledge, then live in this world. So much of suffering is there in this world because we do this mistake. What is the mistake? We live in this world without gaining knowledge. You have to suffer then. You can't blame God. There are certain laws. First, know the laws, then apply the laws. Jnanam is the most important thing. That is why Guru is important. So just by doing some Paduka Puja etc. will not do. Yes, of course, it will create some punya, no doubt about it. At least something is better than nothing. But what is most important thing? Listen to the wisdom words of Guru and try to implement it as much as possible in life. As much as possible. Maybe it is 1%, no problem. That much you are blessed. That much auspiciousness will enter into your life. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahadobhaya. Swalpamapi, little bit. Right. And that little difference that makes life, that will inspire you furthermore. Put forth effort. So start at least somewhere. So this is the glory of Guru. And that's why every year we worship Guru during Guru Purnima. Gurus are the ones who teach us how to live. And that is the most important thing. You are busy throughout your life not knowing what life is. What is the use? And finally, by the fag end of life, you come to know, oh, direction is wrong. I have been busily walking, traveling. Oh, in the opposite direction I have come. Generally, we find that the hairs become grey. You come to realize with all miseries, with all sufferings, all foolishness, blunders, of course. Only after blunder you will understand the value of knowledge. That is also there. As I was saying, value of food is appreciated only for a hungry person. In the same way, who appreciates knowledge? The one who has suffered in the darkness of ignorance, only such a person can appreciate the value of knowledge. King like Janaka, he was ready to give his entire kingdom for this knowledge. Just imagine how much he valued this knowledge. It's always like this. It is the suffering which makes you value something. It is the suffering of thirst which makes you value water. Otherwise, water is nothing. It is just 10 rupees or 20 rupees for a bottle of water. It is a suffering which makes you value the thing. In the same way, it is the sufferings in life which makes you value the spiritual knowledge and the source of spiritual knowledge. Right. So here, Bhagavan is describing this. How we are coming back again and again to this world in different embodiments. It is not necessary that you should be born in human body only. Remember, every insect that is crawling on the ground, remember it has come because of its karma. It is an expression of a particular type of ignorance. Just like this body is an expression of ignorance, byproduct of ignorance, every living being that you are seeing here, whether it is a mosquito, whether it is a spider, a monkey or a donkey, every being is an expression of ignorance. Remember, there is an experiencer in it. There is a world of experience. There is a changing world of experience around that world of, around that experience. So when we are seeing the samsara vriksha, don't think that it's only human beings. No. Everyone, even an ant, he is also a samsara vriksha only. Right. So this is the way we are suffering in this world. How to come out of this suffering? So that is the essence of the next verse. Let us chant verse number 3. न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा This samsara vriksha which we are describing here, now Bhagavan is saying, actually speaking, if you search for it, you will not find it. Now it is not available. Asya. This particular tree which has been described, actually speaking, when you search for it, when you analyze, when you inquire, it is not available. Very strange. Na adi, na anta. It has no beginning, it has no end. Earlier the term used was avyayam. That explanation of that term is this. Na adi, no beginning, na anta, no end. And na cha sampradishta. Sampradishta means support. This tree should have a support. Is there something in this tree which is supporting this tree? There is nothing. All these things we will see later. So now, if we have to understand this, we will have to go back to the basics of Vedanta, which we have discussed umpteen number of times. But again, I am sure there are so many newcomers. So therefore, briefly we will see the fundamentals of Vedanta. Only then we will be able to understand what is mentioned here. So what is the fundamental of Vedanta? So first let us start with what is called as identification theory. This has been discussed so many times. Identification theory. What is this theory? When entity A identifies with entity B, the properties of B appear to be the properties of A. Entity A identifying with entity B, the properties of B appear to be the properties of A. So what is the best example to understand this? The film theatre example. So in the film theatre, we identify with the characters in the movie, and then what happens? We cry and weep in the theatre, isn't it? In a tragic movie. We identify with the hero or the heroine. The hero is crying and then I also start crying, isn't it? So what is the mistake we have done there? Identification. What is identification? I forget myself and I become one with the one which I am paying attention to. This is called identification. So I am paying attention to the movie, I enter into the movie and I live the movie happenings by identifying with the movie characters. I can enjoy the movie only by entering into the movie. How to enter into the movie? You have to hold on to some character. Just like if you have to enter into the dream world, you will have to drop the dream world. Drop the waking body and then you will have to identify with the dream body. In the dream there is a body. So you have to identify with, only then you can enter into the dream world. So too the movie world also. So identify with the hero. No, hero is miserable, hero is crying, you are also crying. Isn't it? So what is the mistake you have done? This mistake is called identification. What is identification? Not paying attention to yourself, paying attention to something other than yourself and becoming one with that. So what does this theory say? When you identify with an entity B, you will experience the properties of B and not the properties which you already have. So here the hero is crying, so you also cry. Why? Because crying is the property of that hero. You have identified with that hero. Now since hero is crying, you cannot but cry. Why? Because the problems of the hero is no more his problem, it has become your problem also. Why? Because you have become one with that. Becoming one with the hero means his problems are yours, his strength is yours, his weaknesses are also yours. This is called identification. So what does Vedanta say? Vedanta says, in the real world also there are two entities. What are the two entities? Consciousness and matter. Different names are given. Consciousness sometimes is called Atma, then matter is called Anatma. Sometimes consciousness is called Kshetrajna, then matter is called Kshetra. Sometimes consciousness is called Brahman, then matter is called Maya. What else? Sometimes consciousness is called Chaitanya, then matter is called Jala. Sometimes consciousness is called Drik or Drashta, then matter is called Drishya. Only two entities are in Vedanta. Consciousness, matter. Sometimes consciousness is called Purusha, then matter is called Prakriti. So many terms, but basically it's all one answer. So what is the nature of matter? Anything made of five elements is matter. This is a definition. What are the five elements? Space, air, fire, water, earth. Pancha Mahabhutas. Anything made of five elements is matter. So what are the things which will come under this category of matter? The whole world that we see, coming one step inside, the body that we see. How can we say the body is made of five elements? It came from five elements, it goes back to five elements, it is nourished by five elements. Food is nothing but five elements. Okay, so body is also matter. What about mind, intellect? That is also matter, because if you don't eat, you will find that the mind becomes silent. So your eating food affects the mind. When you fast that particular day, especially during the evenings, you will find your mind is silent. So it means mind draws its nourishment from food. Therefore we say the mind is also made of five elements. It is also Prakriti, it is also matter. Now there is only one thing which is not matter, and what is it? Consciousness, awareness, which we call self. Please understand, the medical people also use awareness, consciousness, etc. We are not talking about that. Very many people get confused when they use the term consciousness. In the medical terminology, when they use consciousness, it is only a state of mind. When the mind is aware, then they say awareness. That's why they say he lost consciousness. Means what? The mind is no more aware. That is the meaning. But in Vedanta, that is not the meaning. Very many times we get confused because the terms are similar, but its definition is different. So in Vedanta, consciousness has nothing to do with mind. It is an independent entity. So what is the nature of this consciousness? Atma, what is the nature? So we say Sat, Chit, Anand. This is the nature of consciousness. Sat means existence. What kind of existence? Absolute existence. Independent existence. Existence which can never become non-existent. Effortless existence. For example, this body is existing, isn't it? But is it independent existence or dependent existence? Dependent existence. Why? Only if you feed it, it can exist. It depends on the five elements for its existence. So we say dependent existence. If the five elements are removed from the body ceases to exist. Necklace, gold necklace, is a dependent existence or independent existence? Dependent. Why? If you remove gold, necklace is gone. Right? So you have to understand what is dependent existence and independent existence. So what kind of existence is this? Consciousness? Independent. Means what? It doesn't depend on anything. It doesn't depend on the mind for its existence. It is always there. Whether you have a mind or no mind. So, Sat, existence, which can never become non-existent, means what? It is imperishable. That's the nature of consciousness. Sat. Then the next term is Chit. Chit means the knowing principle. So when all these terms are being described, don't try to form a concept about it. You are there. Your attention, whenever this kind of terms are being described, your attention should go within. It is me. It is me. That's the way it should go. Okay. So when I am describing this, don't try to form an idea through the mind. What you should say? Tad aham asmi. That is me. So what is consciousness? Knowing principle. Knowing. Are you knowing? Yes. Now what kind of knowing is this? Independent knowing, effortless knowing, absolute knowing, natural knowing. Right. So knowing is a property, being aware is a property, and for consciousness, that is its natural state. Just like heat is for fire, it is natural. So what is this consciousness doing? It is constantly knowing. Can it stay without knowing? No. What does this mind do? It borrows this knowing ability from consciousness and it appears as though it is knowing. Actually, mind is also inert, it is prakriti. But what does this mind do? It borrows this knowing principle and it poses as though it is knowing. Mind also knows, isn't it? We generally say, I understand, I know. So generally what we know is actually the mind which is knowing. So what kind of knowing is mind-based knowing? It is thought-based knowing. Only when thoughts are there, the mind can know. Remember, consciousness doesn't need thoughts to know. Why? Because knowing is its nature. Mind's knowing is an effortful knowing. What is the proof? Every time you try to know, you get exhausted. You have to spend energy. That's why when these Vedanta talks are happening 5-10 minutes, very many people doze off. Why do you doze off? Why? Exertion is there. Just like as though your physical exertion you appreciate. You are lifting something, there is exertion. Even thinking is an exertion. It's a subtle exertion. Not everyone is fit. When you are listening, you are thinking also. You are contemplating also. You are questioning also. A lot of exertion is there. So, the mind's knowing is a thought-based knowing. Is it an effortless knowing or an effortful knowing? It is an effortful knowing. That's why after 1 hour of study, it's when you feel tired. You can't go on and on and on. But what about consciousness knowing? It is effortless knowing. Why? It is effortless knowing because that is his nature. Are you able to understand? It is effortless because it is his nature. Knowing is his nature. Jnanam is his nature. It knows everything and it effortlessly knows everything and it independently knows everything. Means what? Consciousness doesn't need a mind to know. Knowing is his nature. Knowledge is his nature. That's called as Chit. Sat, Chit. And the third one, Anand. Bliss is his nature. So when I say bliss, everything is included. It can be peace, it can be contentment, it can be fulfillment, it can be happiness. There are different expressions of bliss. So all these are included in that one term, Ananda. So what kind of bliss? Absolute bliss, independent bliss, instrument-free bliss. His Atma, his Chaitanya, it doesn't have to depend on the mind or the world for happiness. Right? So, what is the nature of consciousness? If you analyze, this consciousness is an embodiment of perfection. Whatever you are truly desiring, everything is there in it. So it is Sat means what? It is immortal. It is always existing. How is it existing? Blissful existence. What kind of blissful existence? Blissful existence full of knowledge. It is not a what you call inert, dead existence. No. Alert, vigilant, blissful, infinite, perfect existence. Right. Instrumentless existence. Bodiless existence. Now who is this? Tatvamasi. This is what the Guru says. Tattva, you are that. This is the real you. This perfect consciousness is the real you. And what does the disciple, when he listens, when he contemplates, where does he land up after gaining this knowledge? Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhyasana. He experiences it directly. Aham Brahmasmi. So what is the message of the Vedas? The message of the Vedas is you are perfect, you are infinite, you are immortal, you are none other than God only, because all these descriptions are the descriptions of God. Satchit Anand is a description of perfection. This perfection is your true nature. Know this. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapya Varani Bodhata, arise awake to this great knowledge. This is the purpose of life. This is the message of the Purushas. So naturally a question will come, if I am an embodiment of bliss, why is that I am not able to experience this bliss? So then bring this theory. What theory? Identification theory. What is this theory? If you don't identify with your real self, if you identify with something else, you will not experience the property of the real self. You will experience the property of that something else with which you have identified. That's a theory, isn't it? So what is that entity B with which we are identified? The body, the mind, intellect. So when I identify with the body, what will I experience? The perfection of consciousness or the imperfection of the body? Imperfection of the body. You see this? Exactly right. You are experiencing the imperfection of the hero in the movie theater. You identify with it, then his properties are your properties. You identify with the body, then the body's imperfect properties are your properties. What is the property of the body? Asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyate. Those who are hearing these terms for the first time refer to Tattva Bodha. That is the basic text. But where will I get Tattva Bodha? It's all there on YouTube. All these talks are there. So those who are newcomers, you can listen to all of them. Right. So what is the nature of this body? Asti. It exists in the womb, comes out of the womb, jayate, vardhate. It grows. Viparinamate. It matures. Apakshiyate. It decays. Vinashyate. It dies. Sixfold modification. So when I identify with the body, what will I feel? I feel that since this body is growing and I am identified with the body, so I feel I am growing old, I am sick, and I am going to die. Actually, these are all the descriptions of the body, but because of identification, I feel this is me. Everything is happening to me. What is Vedanta saying? Nothing is happening to you. You are Satchidananda. What is happening here? Everything is happening at the body level. So now what we do in this ignorance, nobody knows this. No, the fellow has not gone to Guru or the satsang. So naturally what will be the tendency now? Body is full of imperfection, mind is full of imperfection. So how will I try to come out of this imperfection? I start working in the wrong direction. What is the wrong direction? The wrong direction is I try to beautify the body, improve the mind, in order to come out of this imperfection. Is it possible to make the body perfect? It is impossible. Body is born perfect, it will, and body is born imperfect, it will die imperfect. You may extend its life a little longer, that is fine. But immortality you can never expect from the body. Because the body's nature is mortality. Throughout the world, everyone, what is it trying to do? Trying to extend the lifespan of body. It is not possible. Extension is possible. But what you really seek is not extension, what you are seeking is immortality. Existence. Why are you seeking it? You are seeking it because it's your nature. That which is your nature, you will helplessly desire it. Infinity is your nature, you will desire infinity. Immortality is your nature, you will desire immortality. Bliss is your nature, you cannot but desire happiness. So, from where is this desire coming from? This desire is coming because actually whatever I am desiring is my nature. But what is the mistake I have done? Identification with the body. Now what am I experiencing? In the body you will neither find the Sat, nor you will find the Chit, nor you will find it. It's all effort. And whatever you get a little bit, they say it is reflected happiness that it gives. Original and reflection. Is there a difference? Original sun and reflected sun. How much difference is there? So whatever we are seeing, experiencing is only reflection. Reflected Sat means what? Reflected existence. Reflected Chit means what? Little bit of here and there some knowing. Reflected Anand. Little some pleasure, some indulgence, some pleasure. The original one is different. We are only exposed to the reflected ones. And we are so caught up with the reflected ones that we are not ready to leave the reflected to get the original. This is our condition. This is not samsara. Right. So, now what is the solution to this problem? So, Vedanta says, solution is detach. Because identification landed you in this problem. So, what should be the solution? Disidentify from what you are not, identify with what you are. This is the solution. Exactly like in the film theatre. You are crying and weeping in the film theatre. What is the solution? To put an end to that crying. Not praying to God. Bhagavan, please save this hero. He is going to die. Kill this villain. That may or may not work. But something is a sure short solution. What is it? Disidentify from the movie happenings. Identify with the real world. Detach from the movie happenings. Stop paying attention to the movie. Pay attention to the reality, which is you, which has nothing to do with the movie. Then what will happen? Your sorrows will end. This is exactly what you have to do here also. Detach from what you are not. And what is that which you are not? BMI. And attach to what you are. What is that which you are? Satchit Ananda Atma. So this is Vedanta in brief. If you have understood this, the rest everything is little bit of, this is all what you have to understand in Vedanta. So what are the two entities? Consciousness, matter. This body, mind, intellect, your mind is nothing but matter. What is the problem? I, the infinite consciousness, has identified with the BMI. So now I am experiencing imperfections of BMI. So how to put an end to it? Not by making BMI perfect. This is the thing which we are not trying to do. BMI cannot be made imperfect because it is by nature imperfect. BMI cannot be made perfect because by nature it is imperfect. So what should we do? Detach from the imperfect BMI, attach to the perfect consciousness. This fundamental understanding has to be there. Only then we can understand what is going to be said later. Right. Now, some terms also have to be introduced. Consciousness and matter. So when this infinite consciousness, this consciousness is called Paramatma. Paramatma. This consciousness, or pure consciousness, is called Paramatma. When this consciousness identifies with the body, mind, intellect, then this consciousness identified with the BMI is called Jivatma. Paramatma identified with the BMI is called Jivatma. So who is going through samsara? Not Paramatma, but Jivatma. But who is Jivatma? Jivatma is none other than Paramatma, who doesn't know himself, who thinks that he is the body, the real mind. So ignorant Paramatma equal to Jivatma. Got it? So what is the difference between Jivatma and Paramatma? Paramatma plus ignorance equal to Jivatma. Remember, who is this Jivatma? We. So how far are we from Paramatma? The matter is only gaining knowledge. You remove that ignorance, gain the knowledge, the very same Jivatma realizes his own self and becomes Paramatma. So just imagine the glory of knowledge. A little puny, insignificant worm is realizing himself to be infinite. That is the glory of this knowledge. And who gives this knowledge? Guru. So see the importance or role of Guru. What is he doing? He is what we call transforming a finite little entity into infinite. So how much should we be grateful to that Guru who does this transformation, who helps us attain this transformation? That's why we say any amount of gratitude will not do. We will throughout our life we will be indebted to Guru. Because the result is such. Right. So Paramatma identified with the BMI is called Jiva. Right. Now let us come to this verse. न रूपम अस्य इह तथा उपलभ्यते. So it is this Jivatma which is going through this samsara. It is this Jivatma which is experiencing this change. So what is the nature of the Jivatma and the world which he is experiencing? So that is what is described here. In this world, where this Jivatma is experiencing this world, Asya Rupam, its nature, its form, na upalabhyate, it's not available. Means what? If you really start inquiring into the nature of Jivatma, is he existing? Is there an independent entity called Jivatma? No. Because what exists is only Paramatma, remember? Paramatma plus ignorance is Jivatma. So actually who is Jivatma? Paramatma alone. So what is this existence of Jivatma? It is an illusory existence. It is only an appearance. It actually doesn't exist. It appears to exist. It is only an appearance. It is only an illusion. Let me put it differently. In the movie theater, the fellow is crying. Now we ask this question: who is crying? All these things we have discussed so many times. Who is crying in the movie theater? That person need not cry. Why? The problems are not his. The problems belong to the hero. So that person need not cry. The film character cannot cry. Why? It is not there. It is just play of some light and sound. So the real person who is watching the movie need not cry. The film character is an illusion. It cannot cry. Then who is crying? Who is crying? So we say the real person identified with the unreal hero. Yes or no? Now this identification, what is it? It is just a mental hallucination. It is not something real. It is just an imagination. So the real combining with the unreal, a third entity is born. This third entity is the one which is crying. Yes or no? Now the question is, can real combine with the unreal? It is impossible. Real can combine with the real. Real cannot combine with the unreal. So therefore this combination is an illusory combination, an impossible combination. But this is what is seen. This is what is appearing. So this appearance in Vedanta, it is called by the term Maya. This term you will very often find. So what is Maya? Something which is not there, but it is experienced. It is seen. Something which is inexplicable, you can't explain, but it is seen. Something which you experience, but doesn't exist. For example, the dream world. You experience it, but later on you come to know there is nothing like that. That's called Maya. Now, the same way here also. Consciousness is perfect. It is absolute bliss. BMI, it is inert. Really speaking, it has no existence only. So, consciousness is real, matter is unreal. Consciousness need not cry because it is Ananda Swarupa. BMI cannot cry because it is Jada, it doesn't even exist. It is nothing but a combination of 5 elements. Then who is the one who is crying? Consciousness, identified with the BMI. A third entity is born. What is the name of the third entity? You can call it Ahankara, you can call it Jivatma, you can call it ego, whatever the term. These are all different terms. But actually what is existing? So we know that there is nothing called Jivatma. It is nothing but a wrong notion in the mind of Paramatma. Just because a person has wrong notion doesn't mean that there is another entity. Entity is the same only. Are you able to follow what I am saying? Narupamasya tatopalabhyate. There is no such entity actually. Suppose your son, he is lying down next to you. And in the dream he has seen some ghost movies and then he has gone to sleep. Now he is seeing ghosts in the dream. He is crying and weeping, howling. He is your son. But how do you see him? As your son or somebody different? What is the difference? Son with knowledge was your son. Now he is son with ignorance. But he is the same person only, isn't it? You will not see who has come. You will not say. You know that is only a hallucination, some imagination, something he is seeing in the dream. So what you will do? You will keep on seeing him as your own son. But then you understand what is happening. So in the same way, there is no difference. Paramatma is hallucinating. As what? And the Jivatma. So what is there? Is the Jivatma there? Really speaking, what is there is only Paramatma. Exactly like in the dream you are doing so many things. Actually what is there is only the maker, not the dreamer. So Narupam Ivavidyate. This samsara vriksha, etc. is just a hallucination of the mind. It's just a wrong notion. It's just nothing but ignorance. Actually, it is not there. It is something which is appearing because of the combination of real and unreal, and this combination is impossible, really speaking. It is like the reflected sun. What is the reflected sun? Combination of sun and the reflected medium, water. Can sun and water combine? Where is sun and where is this water? Sun is how many times bigger than earth? 30 lakh times bigger than earth. That sun will combine with this water. But then that is what is seen. The reflected sun there. So the point is this. This samsara vriksha is an illusion, born out of ignorance, born out of wrong notion, born out of absence of self-knowledge. So what is the solution to this problem? The Jivatma is born because of absence of self-knowledge. So therefore this Jivatma can be destroyed. The samsara vriksha can be destroyed by what? By providing self-knowledge. But what is the nature of this Jivatma? Fine, it's an illusion. But it's experience, no? Yes, it is experience. What is his nature? Na antaha, na adi. When did this Jivatma's journey into the samsara begin? These are the questions we ask. When did I first become the Jivatma? Fine, I am seeing this body. So that means in the previous body also there was some body. So this body has come because of my previous karma. But previous karma, I came from previous. When did I start? What is the starting point? So this is the answer. What is the answer? Beginninglessness is the answer. Naturally, how can it be beginningless? How can I understand this beginninglessness? Yes. So this self-ignorance was beginningless? Yes. This normally people don't understand. So to make it clear, we generally ask this question. Suppose you don't know Spanish language. I hope so. When did this ignorance of Spanish language begin? What is the answer you will give? You have to use this term beginningless, isn't it? Ignorance of Spanish language is anadi, you have to say. Because if you say it began at some time, that means what? You knew it, then no, it went there. That was never there. So therefore we say this ignorance is beginningless. In the same way, the very fact that we are in this body, what does it indicate? The very fact that we are Jivatmas, it implies that we have not gained self-knowledge. Yes or no? Otherwise, why should I come here in the body? Means what? Till now I have not gained. What does it mean? In the past also I have never gained it. So then self-ignorance is beginningless. From the beginningless past I have been living as a Jivatma in different bodies made. And because the bodies are different, which Rupa will you say it is your Rupa? Now it is this Rupa. This also keeps changing, that's a different matter. In this birth you have a Rupa, in the past birth you would have had some other Rupa. Need not be human Rupa also. Are you able to understand now? So many Rupams we have taken. So many, infinite. Of course it's an illusory thing, but still, even the physical form also we have taken infinite in the infinite past. Namadi. This is going on from the beginningless past. That means what? Self-ignorance is beginningless. Means what? Never was a time when we had self-knowledge. Never. No, Swamiji. Maybe that I had knowledge and then suddenly I got became ignorant. Then the journey started. Is it possible? Can ignorance come from knowledge? Use logic. Is it possible that ignorance comes from knowledge? Is it possible? It is not possible. So therefore we have to conclude that this ignorance is beginningless past. Na adi. Now what is the next term? Na antaha. Na antaha means what? If you keep on ignoring self-knowledge, this journey will continue. How long? Infinite future. As long as you don't pay attention to this knowledge, as long as you don't turn to spirituality, you can go on playing this game. What is this game going on? You desire something, and then that desire is fulfilled by your word. Then suddenly you realize, oh, this is not what I wanted something else. Then you again die with some desire, again another world is formed, then suddenly you get it, and oh, this is not what I wanted, something else. This goes on. That's why this example of Bhagavad is given, beautiful example. You think there is water and you keep on walking, but there is no water there. The desert example I don't understand, but in real life, Nanantara, there is a warning given to all seekers here. Nanantara, if you ignore this knowledge, the price you have to pay is repeated birth and death. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatharesha. This is the price we have to pay. So be serious, doesn't it? Na adi, na anta, and then na sampratishta. There is nothing in this world which you are seeing, this perceived world, which can act as the support for this world. Now, this is a very important instruction, especially for the scientists. Very many times, these scientists, they try to find out where this world has come from. What is the source of this world? They come out with Big Bang theory and this theory, etc. Here the answer will get Nasam Pratishta. Don't try to find the source of this world in this world. Because in this world, there is nothing which is a support. Now, what is the definition of a support of a thing? You see how beautifully Vedanta analyzes everything. Any change can happen only upon a changeless substrate. This is a law. What is the law? If a change has to happen, there has to be a support supporting that changing thing, and that support has to be a changeless thing. This is the law. Now, what is the example we can do? For example, it's a movie theater. Screen is there, changes are happening, but where are those changes happening? Upon the screen. What is the nature of the screen? It is a changeless screen. So any change can happen only upon a changeless substrate. So what are the scientists trying to do? They are trying to find out a changeless substratum in the world of change. Is it possible? So they find maybe the atom is the substratum of the world. No way, atom also changes. Maybe time and space, they also change. The recent research, they say that even space also changes. They are right. Vedanta has told it long back that in this world there is no sampradishta. There is nothing which doesn't change. You can't even, identify one item in this world which doesn't change. No sampradishta. The support for this world cannot be the world, because the entire world, everything in this world is constantly changing. So therefore, you will never be able to find a support for this world in the world. That is where the scientists are stuck. Because what do the scientists do? The field of science, the field of observation, they are all outward in the world. The one most important thing which they have missed, what is it? The observer of the world. Vedanta says the sampradishta is the observer, not the observed world. And what are the scientists doing? Observer they have taken for granted. And now all their research is upon the observed world. See, when you ignore scriptures, your first step itself is wrong. Now just try to think of a mathematician who is trying to solve a mathematical puzzle. He has written a formula, and the formula itself is wrong. What to talk about the result then? First step itself is wrong. Scientists, what have they done? Observer is ignored. They assume that observer is the same everywhere, so we need not. Observed world, in the observed world, they are trying to find the source of the world, the substratum of the world. So this line is one word. Each word is like a bomb. If you analyze, so much is there in that. Sampratishtha means don't try to find out or search for the support of the world in the world. You will not succeed. Everything is changing. Even the time and space will disappear during Pralaya. Because time and space, they are the product of creation. Something which is a product of creation cannot be the source of creation. See, another great theory. It has to be something out of creation. A product of creation cannot be the support of creation, cannot be the source of creation. So time and space also is ruled out. Then what remains? What remains is only this consciousness, which is the observer of the world, which has nothing to do with the world, which is just witnessing the changing world. And what is this consciousness? It is none other than Lord. This consciousness is what is said as Urdhva Moolam. We have never tested Urdhva Moolam, if you remember. It comes here. Urdhva Moolam. Urdhva Moolam means what? Urdhva, the highest. Moolam, it is the very root of the samsara vriksha. What is the most important thing in a vriksha, in a tree? The most important thing is root. And interestingly, root is never seen. You will see the trunk and the branches and the leaves, but you will never see the root. Exactly like in this world. The whole world is existing in God, in consciousness, but consciousness is not seen, just like the root. Urdhva, the highest, the most auspicious. Why the most auspicious? Most auspicious because this consciousness is the one which is supporting the world. And that is your nature. Right? So if you want to know the source of this world, where should you go? Don't go towards the world. Go towards yourself. Go within. Then you will find the puzzle, the cosmic puzzle is solved. Don't go towards cosmos to solve the cosmic puzzle. Go within yourself and the puzzle is solved. Otherwise what will happen? Na adi, na anta. You will keep wandering in this world. Endlessly. See this? When we ignore the teachers, when we ignore the scriptures, when we ignore the see the price that you have to pay, my God! Guaranteed suffering for infinite lifetimes. No, Swamiji, I will do good action and then I will enjoy the world. Arey Baba, how much ever punya karma you do? Janma is there, Mrityu is there, Jara is there, Vyadhi is there. How much ever punya karma you do? That is why the world is suffering. 5 lakhs are mental suffering can avoid through noble actions. But these things are suffering. Birth is pain, death is pain, old age is pain, disease is pain, and nobody can escape it. How much ever punya karma you have done? So now we are talking about a technique where you can transcend the world. Beautifying the world, yes, when you are living, do that. But that alone will not solve. It is just a first aid. Creating a beautiful world around you. Yes, it's a first aid thing. But what is the permanent cure for this samsara disease, bhavaroga? Permanent cure is self-knowledge. And how do we gain this self-knowledge? Detach from what you are not, attach to what you are. Now, in the first word there is one term, Chandamsi Yasya Parnaya. The Veda mantras are the leaves of this tree. So here, the Veda mantras we refer to, they are not the Upanishadic mantras, they are the Veda mantras in the Karma Kanda portion, not the Jnana Kanda portion. So there are two portions in the Vedas. One is Karma Kanda, the other is called Jnana Kanda. Main two divisions. So what is the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas? In this you will find how to fulfill your desires. This is the content of Karma Kanda. Are you not getting married? Then do this ritual. Chant this mantra, you get married. Are you not having any child? Do this ritual. then only you will be satisfied. Do you want to go to Swarga? Do the ritual. So what are these mantras doing? It is keeping you as an individual soul only. By fulfilling your desire, it is trying to make you happy. So what is it trying to do, this samsara vriksha? It is nourishing this vriksha. But what about the Veda mantras in the Jnana Kanda portion? The ones which we are going to see now. So we see here, Asanga Shastrena Dhridena Chitva. Cut it off. Cut this samsara. Now this is called Jnana Kanda portion of the Vedas. It is an axe. It is not the nourishing leaves. It is a destroying axe. So what is this Jnana Kanda portion of the Upanishads? What do they say? They are not interested in fulfilling their desires. Because desire is a disease. It's a disease born out of ignorance. So Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya says, Avidya, Kama, Karma. These are the three terms used in all Bhagavan Shankaracharya's commentaries. Avidya, this is the first step. Avidya is ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of the self. I don't know myself. From this avidya comes kama, desires. So the symptom of self ignorance is desires of the world. Why am I desiring the world? I am desiring because of happiness. I want happiness. Why am I seeking happiness? I am seeking happiness because I am not happy. Why I am not happy? Your own self is Ananda Swarupa. Why I am not happy? Because I don't know myself. You see this? Because I don't know myself, I am not happy. And because I am not happy, I seek happiness. And where do I seek happiness? In the world. Desiring the things and beings of the world, I seek happiness. So, desire is the symptom of ignorance. Avidya, kama. You see? So desire is in the mind. It is a symptom of a disease. What is a disease? Self-ignorance is a disease. And then when the desire comes, what do? Karma. Go out into the world and work hard to get it. Avidya, kama, karma. What do these karma kanda portions of the Veda do? They try to fulfill your karma by telling you what karma you have to do. Avidya they don't touch. So fulfill your karma by doing this karma. That is karma kanda portion of the Veda. What is jnana kanda portion doing? The moment you say I have a karma, jnana kanda portion is ready with an axe. Idiot, don't try to fulfill the desire. Try to find out where this desire is coming from. It is coming from the ego. This ego, find out who this ego is. Enquire into the self. Do self-inquiry. When you inquire yourself, you come to know, this Jivatma doesn't exist. What exists? Paramatma. And when you go to Paramatma, what happens to the desire? What happens to Nama? Gone. Why? You don't have to desire anything. You are already bliss. Are you able to see this? Karma Kanda tries to fulfill Kama through Karma. Jnana Kanda destroys that Kama by giving you Vidya. Are you able to see the difference? Both are Vedas only, but see the difference. One is acting like leaves to nourish the tree, the other is acting like axe to cut the tree. This is the difference between Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. We are not interested in this tree, we have to destroy this tree. So what is being said here? Ashwatthavenam suvirudha moolam. This Ashwattha vriksha is well rooted. Why is it well rooted? Suvirudha moolam it is. Well rooted because from the infinite past it is going on. It is growing. So therefore it is suvirudha moolam. The roots have gone far and wide. So you can't uproot this tree. So don't try to find out what did I do in the last birth. Why am I born? Which karma I did first? Stop it. Nonsense. You will never be able to find it. You can't uproot a suvirudha moolam ashwattha. Then what am I supposed to do? Cut it. Put an end to this jiva bhava. You don't have to worry when your first birth started and all your past. You need not know. Now you are there. It is because of avidya. Destroy that avidya and put a full stop to it. This is the only thing possible. Unless we don't ask stupid questions. When did the world start? Which was the first karma? My karma, my first karma, my first birth, nonsense. You can't know any of this because there is this Ashwatthama Vriksha cannot be. Ashwatthamenam Suvirudhamulam Asanga Shastrena, with this acts of asanga, detachment, chitra, cut it. Attachment created problem. So what is the solution? Detachment is the solution. So this asanga is nothing but disidentification. So how to cut this Ashwatthama tree, that will be our topic of tomorrow. If you want to continue this Ashwatthama tree, then don't come tomorrow. I am going to bring an axe now tomorrow. बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मनवा, गुरु बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मन, गुरु बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मनवा, ज्ञान बिना अधूरा, ज्ञान बिना ये अधूरा, हरि चरण कमल कैसे पाऊं, हरि चरण कमल कैसे पाऊं, बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मनवा, बिना काम क्रोध मद लोभ मोह मिल, काम क्रोध मद लोभ मोह मिल, अहंकार है जीव का दुश्मन, अहंकार है जीव का दुश्मन, भक्ति विनय से सेवा भाव से, 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 जानो ये गुरु महिमा रे मनवा, पहचानो ये गुरु महिमा रे मन, पहचानो ये गुरु महिमा रे मनवा, ज्ञान बिना ये धीय अधूरा, ज्ञान बिना ये धीय अधूरा, हरि चरण कमल कैसे पाऊं, हरि चरण कमल कैसे पाऊं, बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मनवा, बिना ये ज्ञान कहाँ रे मनवा, नित्य निरंतर अंतर्यामी, हृदय विराजे मेरे स्वामी, हृदय विराजे मेरे स्वामी, नित्य निरंतर अंतर्यामी, नित्य निरंतर कैसे पाऊं उस भगवान को, कैसे पाऊं उस भगवान को, कैसे पाऊं उस भगवान को, कैसे पाऊं उस भगवान को। गुरु कृपा के बिना